I guess the next thing up is to say that we are officially opening the meeting. So we should do that according to Robert's rules. And then next up, Tom, is the minutes. So do we have any additions, edits, or changes to the minutes from December 2nd? Okay, absent those, I think by acclamation, we can accept those. Is that right?
Yep. Yes, we can.
Okay, so we'll consider that done. And I'll get this note off my screen. So next up on our agenda, and Tom, feel free to jump in at any point here if I'm.
Yeah, I'll help you. So
yeah.
we have Joey Coppinger, who's an Eagle Scout candidate who would like to just present his project on wood duck houses to the board, and we have some. I'm just going to start a screen share because I have Joey's slides.
Awesome. Well, I'd say first, welcome, Joey.
Hi, Joey.
Thank you.
You need this, honey?
I only need this.
Okay.
Joey, go ahead whenever you're ready.
So hello, my name is Joey Coppinger, and I'm from Troop 175 here in Simsbury, Connecticut. And if you scroll up to the first slide where it shows, where it shows where you can see two photos, one on the left, which represents a female wood duck, and on the right represents a male wood duck. And if you go to the next slide, you can see on the far left, you can see an example of a wood duck box hanging up on a post on top of the water. And besides that, it has two normal bird boxes, which shows like in comparison of what it really looks like and how it's like different from all the other boxes. And if you scroll down to the next slide, there it shows you the 6 wood duck boxes locations that I'm going to do here in Simsbury. And you notice that all of them are on town property and that it's all surrounded by water. And if you go to the next slide, which is the last slide, this is an aerial view of all of the locations. And you can see that I have 3 locations in the town forest and one at the Simsbury High School, Terrifield Park, and Meadow Pond. And to wrap up, the cost of my project will be $1,500. And the dimensions of the box is 3 feet wide and 3 feet high, and 1 foot wide. And it weighs 20 pounds. And I'm doing this because it's unique and it has never been done in Simsbury. And when I looked at the locations of the wood duck boxes, I haven't seen any of wood duck boxes there.
Tell them why it's important.
And it's important because 90% of the wood ducklings die in the first 2 weeks, and they only live up to usually 3 or 4 years.
So it's a good conservation thing.
And it's a good conservation thing to do.
That's great, Joey. I would have to say I commend you for doing the project. And I think it's really interesting personally. Mm-hmm. And so I guess the rest of the commission, any questions for Joey? Or Joe, do you have any other comments?
Tell them you're going to put the sign up.
And I have this example of what it would look like.
You have a sign on it.
And I have a sign on it showing what it is.
That's great. That's great. So the workmanship is done by you?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
I just have to share my own opinion, which is I think that's awesome. It's a nice public service. Number one, it's also a great chance for you to learn, which I'm sure you're already well versed in materials acquisition as well as the workmanship side.
Yeah.
Well done, Joey. And
Thank you.
I just also want to commend you on what a fantastic project this is. Not only, for our town to be so lucky and for you as a young man to just take on this leadership role and do that for the little ducklings. I didn't know that 90% of those little guys don't make it out. So I think that's a fantastic project, and thank you for your work.
And that's why they have a lot of predators.
Joey,
Well-
when do you expect the project to be complete?
In probably to 3 to 4 months from now.
Okay, thank you.
And last question, Joey, just because I always ask tons of questions. It's kind of my nature. Liz knows me for years. And most of them are, as Liz will tell you from our years together, are useless, but hopefully this one's helpful. Were there any significant challenges for you as you evaluated projects when you looked at doing this one? Anything that comes to mind that was really challenging or relatively easy?
It was probably like the cost, and I managed to put from the beginning of my scouting career, I've done like a little service hours, which I earned like money from volunteering, which I can incorporate into my Eagle project.
Well done. Anybody else comments for Joey? Well, thank you, Joey, very much. And best of luck to you with the project.
Thank you.
Well, that's great. Thank you, Joey.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Taberski, am I correct in saying that we're now going to conduct?
Let's put that off till Dave joins us. We can put that if you're okay with that. We can put it off to the
Sure. Yeah, that's fine. I think we're going to reach the same. At least with Dave, we'll reach the same. I would assume.
Yeah. Well,
actually, I guess I should
this
make
way. We're not voting for him when he's not here.
Yeah, fair enough. In absentia.
So what I'd like to do, if it's okay with you, just to skip that one, and we'll go to the friends board member appointments. The rest of these are pretty easy for the most part.
Perfect. That's great.
So
I guess yeah, go ahead.
Go ahead, Kelly. I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, please. It's all you.
Per the Friends of Simsbury Farms bylaws, it's required that as new members join the Friends board, that the Culture, Parks, and Recreation Commission reviews those appointments and then forwards them on to the Board of Selectmen for formal appointment. So as part of your agenda tonight, on your screen right now, there's a list of members that board members that would like to join the Simsbury Farms board and get final approval. If you've had a chance to look at that, I believe I sent it out in advance. What we're looking for here, Kelly, is a vote to recommend these appointments in whole to the Board of Selectmen, and then at which they will formally appoint them at their next meeting.
So I guess to get that accomplished, we would need a motion, and then after that motion, I believe it's second, then
Second,
discussion, and then vote.
Well, can we hear a little bit about them, Kelly? I don't know most of the people that are being nominated here. Do you know anything
Yeah,
about
so
them?
it's a unique arrangement, but Tom, you're pretty close with this, so I'll let you.
Yeah, I'd be happy to take. I know Greg Work, I believe, has been affiliated with the golf course and Simsbury Youth Hockey in the past. Tom Cross with both the golf course and Simsbury Youth Hockey. Obviously, we all know Dave Bush. Dave was previously on the board, I believe, as the liaison. Yes, he was the liaison from Park and Rec before, or he was on the board. Mike Pendergast has, I believe, a marketing background. He's also affiliated with UConn, a longtime Simsbury resident, and some affiliation with the golf course, and I believe youth hockey as well. Sam Roundy, both with youth hockey and the golf course. We all know Jerry Toner, former recreation director for 36 years, I believe. And Jerry Wetchen, longtime rec commission member, affiliated with Simsbury Youth Baseball, Simsbury Farms Golf Course, Simsbury Farm. He was the president of youth hockey for a long time. certainly one of our biggest advocates. Anything you want to add to that, Kelly?
No, I mean, I've worked with those guys. I was on the Friends for a long time. I was the successor to Sarah Kramer. And then Dave and I swapped, and I went back to open space and Dave took my spot. So all those folks, these are renominations actually, in basically in every case. So
Yes,
they're all there.
so.
They're all active. They're all folks that are doing things, and they're good people. They've done a nice job. They've really worked hard, and they're actually working on the 50th. I think I saw on your yeah, there it is. It's they're working on the 50th anniversary right now. So anybody have a motion for this?
I'll make a motion.
Second?
I'll second that.
Okay, Danielle, second. Any discussion? So I believe that motion that I heard you say, Lori, was to accept these names as stated.
Yes.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Aye.
Motion carries. That's off the list, Tom. Check.
Thank you. All right. So if you'll indulge me for a few minutes, for those of you who don't know, it's Simsbury Farms in 2022 marks the 50th anniversary of the opening of the Simsbury Farms Recreation Complex. The Friends of Simsbury Farms have generously offered to coordinate some events in association with that. The rec department is also going to be doing, where John Tebow and I are looking at something more along the lines of 50 days of 50th anniversary, 50 days of events, contests, activities. So we're in the midst of planning that. We've come up with a logo. You can see it on the screen. That's at the top of the page. That's the logo we're going to use. We're looking into getting, and this is something near and dear to Kelly's heart. We're looking into getting pole banners to decorate our new light poles on the golf course side, as well as the recreation side where the ice rink and pool parking is. So we're looking into that purchase and getting those up this spring. Below the logo here, I want to highlight and thank publicly the Friends of Simsbury Farms. They've offered to purchase 50th anniversary golf flags for the golf course. And so what you see here are red, white, and blue flags. As I learned this year, and I'm kind of surprised I didn't know this sooner, there's different flags on different holes depending where the flag stick is located on the green. So I believe if it's close, I'm going to probably get this wrong. If it's in the middle, it's white, middle of the green, and if it's in the back, it's red, and if it's in the front, it's blue. So as golfers approach the hole, they can get an idea of where the hole is located and just help them select the right club. So we have to have a number of these different colors, and they offered to buy 2 sets of flags for the golf course this year, which, I really want to thank them for that. And with their assistance, I think it's a nice addition to the golf course and recognizing our 50th anniversary. But they are planning a family day for the last Saturday in July, and it's going to consist of some pool events, a concert in the evening. I believe the Simsbury Farms Open, which is a men's club event, or an event that the golf course pro shop runs, is going to be held that day as well. So it'll be a busy day at the farms. They're also looking at some basketball and tennis events as well. And if I mentioned that there's going to be a concert or some family activity at night, that we're certainly going to help plan, and they're going to help volunteer with. But they're working hard on getting these things organized for that day. I'm sure we're going to be looking for some friends of ours on this commission to help out. So they'll be in contact as well. And if you want to send me an email, let me know if there's something in particular that you'd like to be involved with, whether it's a golf course event, a pool event, or basketball, tennis, or even the concert later in the evening. You can send that to me, and I'll put you in touch with the right people on the planning for that. And then again, John and I and the golf course as well are planning some other events that'll go. I don't want to spill the beans too much because things are in the planning stages, but some exciting events that'll start about when the pool opens and carry right up through the beginning of the ice rink season next year to recognize that. But we've got some exciting things planned. We think people will be really excited. And with COVID, hopefully on the waning side, we can get back to doing these fun community social events that we all have come to love at Simsbury Farms and throughout our community. But we're excited. We want, Simsbury Farms is really the heart. I like to think of it as the heart of a great community, which Simsbury certainly is. And we want to do our best to show it off this year and bring people back and just give everybody a chance to really show their appreciation for a community for a facility that is almost like any other not like any other in the state of Connecticut. So, Kelly, you've been working on this as well with them. So is there anything you'd like to add?
Yeah, no, other than to say that for the commission's information, it's a nice group. The board on the Friends of Simsbury Farms is very much focused on working, and Tom, please, I think you'll echo this sentiment, working with Tom and making sure that they are kind of in lockstep in terms of Tom's priorities and making sure that it's not them, the friends, going off, and doing something that's not directed by the department. And they're also making it this year, and it's awesome that they're working together. So that's a really strong point of emphasis, that they're working together, the friends and the department, on this 50th series of activities. And they really would like to increase the profile of the friends to kind of match that of, I guess a good example would be the Friends of the Library. The Friends of the Library is a very active organization in town. They do a lot of good things. And I think the Friends of Simsbury Farms wants to get a lot greater recognition and, of course, help out wherever is possible with the various projects that Tom thinks are important.
Right. And just to add to that, they're trying to do a real push to make some splashy, I guess it would be the best, splashy improvements this year. They're going to do some more T-leveling. As you know, they really help facilitate the lights that'll come online this spring for the basketball court. They recently agreed to fund the purchase of that expression swing I told you at the December meeting about. So that's going to make its debut this spring. Just projects all over the facility. They're going to a picnic area behind the pool fence. That's in the works as well for this summer, and just really, and the fitness trail as well. They're working hand in hand with us to make some improvements out there with a new welcoming kiosk board, messaging board, and some other improvements out on the course, and possibly even as far as long-term goal of adding more shading on the pool deck in some fashion. So they've really kind of are making an effort to hit all parts of the complex and get more people involved. They do that fundraising golf tournament, which is phenomenal, at the end of September, early October. I think it's Friday, September 30th is the date this year.
It is correct. Yep.
It is. So
Yep.
That's a major fundraiser, and it takes a lot of work to get that done. And if you're so inclined when the call comes out to help out with that, I'm sure they'd really appreciate it. And it's a fun day for everybody, whether you're one of the golfers or reception or volunteers. They do a really nice job with that, or even helping secure some raffle items that goes a long way toward their fundraising goals as well. So
if you are on that note, and I promise I'll stop talking, but on that note, if the commission members that are here could squeeze in a couple of minutes on the 30th of September, if you put it on your calendar, there'll be a presentation. I believe, Tom, it's going to be after the golf.
I believe it is. Yeah, it's right. Yeah, before the reception.
So it's 2-3 o'clock in the afternoon. Not a great time, but because it's a Friday, if you could squeeze in the time to come up and support and obviously show our faces as the commission to say that we're supporting the Friends, especially on the 50th anniversary. It would be really helpful.
Yep, and we'll get you the details out as that progresses, and you'll see the emails and Facebook posts go out about trying to get golfers and sponsors and that kind of thing, but and more details about the presentation as well. But they just do great work, and as we know, budgets are tight for the town, and they're really have just been doing so much over the last 5 to 6 years to just the little things that counts, the wayfinding signs that have been. Nobody knocks on my. I didn't count one person or see one person this year show up in my office with a set of golf clubs looking for the pro shop this year, thanks to those new signs. And it's just the little things like that kind of just enhance the quality of the facility, the overall aesthetics. And I mean, they've done everything from helping with the new apple trees and fruit trees on the golf course and tree maintenance programs. It's just all these little things that, when we go to the town to ask for them, it's usually not, especially in tight years, it's not a priority, but to have a group of supporters like this is invaluable to us, to what
and
we
they
do.
really do want to work with, like Liz, on the tennis side and on the hockey side. They really do want to incorporate inputs from various constituents, that are using the facilities. So, as that comes up, whatever they might be, whether it's, inputs about the specifics on the, tennis, paddle, pickleball, whatever it might be, it's important that they get those inputs. So.
Yep. Anybody have any questions, or is there an event? I just wanted to open up this discussion. If there's anything that, an idea that you may have, all of us have been there. All of us go to other communities too and see what kind of things they do. If there's something, if this is, an opportunity for you to throw an idea. I got my pen in my hand and happy to write anything down. Or if you just want to throw anything out there, or if you want to email me in the coming weeks, a thought you might have that might be something that might be fun or unique. We'd love to hear it and try to make this the best year, our best year ever. So.
Tom, I just have a quick question. Do you have a date this summer for the 50th anniversary that you need volunteers? I just was going to put it on my calendar, and I can volunteer for whatever you need. I just wasn't sure.
The Friends event, that's the one we started talking about. They're planning that. It's the last Saturday in July, and I don't have my calendar right in front of me, but it could be the 27th or 28th. And then it would be a rain date the following Saturday at this time.
Thank you.
You're
okay,
welcome.
and I will be thinking of ideas because I like doing creative things like that. So I'll be emailing you.
I know you do.
But I have to think. Thank you.
As we plan, John and I put some more things together. I'll get the dates out to the group as well. I imagine we're going to do some movies, and I had a thought about doing a drive-in movie on the movie in the park on the driving range this summer, which I think would be great, or maybe even a glow in the dark golf event, some movies or something, other concerts down in the rink, maybe a cornhole event, and some other things for kids. And we'll see. It's still in the planning stages. I think we're going to bring back the pre-B swim meet. I think some of you who've had kids go through swim lessons remember what that was like, and that's a lot of fun. But yeah, we're going to be doing lots of different things, and I'll keep you guys informed on that as we move forward. But I appreciate all your help in advance.
I already shared with you and Jerry some of ideas. Hopefully that'll go to fruition. I'm glad that Chris is on board. I talked about potentially learn to paddle, learn to pickle, stick hockey fun, and to educate our attendees and continue to educate throughout the summer some of the needs and some of the goals that we have going forward for all of the activities and opportunities we have at the farms, including pickle, some improvements for the paddle, the hockey, and the tennis. So, and of course, golf and swimming. Yep. So that's great. And looking forward to helping out.
Yeah, thank you. I am hopeful that we'll have the new playground installed at some point this fall. It may not be the end of the summer, but at some point, that would be a nice cherry on top to get that thing installed later this year. We're working. I'll tell you a little bit more as I get to the West Mountain stuff near the end of the agenda. But we're working with some vendors now and working through that process that hopefully will result in a playground installation at some point later in the year. So
okay. If
there's no more, Kelly, we can move on to the next item.
Yeah, that's great. Okay, that's great. Thanks, Tom. That's a big item actually on the agenda. There's a lot of work going on behind the scenes, with both sides, with the department as well as with the Friends.
Yep. I did want to note that Tim Walczyk was able to join us during the while we were talking. So I just want to recognize that Tim's in our group right now for Heather. And I just saw Chris Boswell might have something to say here. Chris, join in.
No, I was playing around with my settings. Sorry.
It's all right. We're an informal group, so it's okay. So the next item on your agenda for those of you who have been here for a few years, this is kind of an annual thing we do in January. The town requires that as we set the fees for the golf course and the aquatics programs and our day camps, that the Culture, Parks and Recreation Commission review those fees in advance of Board of Selectmen approving them. So what I'm going to ask you to do is I'll briefly explain what we're looking at for 2022, and then Kelly will ask you, if there's any more discussion, or ask you for to vote on a recommendation to recommend these fees to the Board of Selectmen for approval at their next meeting. So we'll do the golf fees first. So what you see on your screen here in red on the 2022 proposed rates includes the surcharge. In consultation with the pro shop, and we do a market analysis of what other courses that we like to compare ourselves to are doing it for fees, and what our expenses and what our revenues have been like. We've had 2 really, really good years at the golf course throughout COVID, and we think it's a trend that's going to continue. Even when things got better society better in COVID, we still had a full parking lot most days. And I think, we found that we're definitely headed in the right direction. And for fee increases this year, we're not recommending any on the daily prices, except for the weekdays, the weekday specials that we offer, the weekday special, the senior special, the weekend special. And those are modest increases of $2, $1, $2. And if you look at the right column, we based on the 3-year average for those things at the golf course. I show you how much revenue we think it would generate, how much new revenue we think it would generate. We're not recommending any increases in passes this year. You can see the history. If you look to the left, you see how the prices have gone up over the years. There's basically $100 difference between what it was in 2018 versus what it is now. We're not oblivious to the fact that everything is getting more expensive right now, whether it's a loaf of bread, a gallon of milk, or your gas. So we're trying to be cognizant of that and really build on what we're doing right now. So the pass sales have been good. So we're going to keep those the same. But what we're going to do is we're asking for an increase on our golf carts. John Varengia has secured a new fleet of golf carts that we lease, and they're going to be really nice, new, shiny sets of golf carts up there for the next few years. And to stay in line with what we are charged, we do those are gas golf carts, and we do pay for the gas, and obviously that's our gas price is going up. I think a $1 increase per use is what we're looking at, and a $10 increase on those value cards, which is basically you buy 11, you buy 10, you get 11. So you can see that would generate a potential, $11,500 approximately, and these increases would generate about $17,400 on it for the season next year. So that's what we'd be looking at for the golf course. Does anybody have any questions or comments on that?
Tom, real quick.
Yes.
The numbers as shown, are they based on last year's number of golfers? Essentially, they took last year's and applied the new numbers.
I use a 3-year average, Kelly. So actually, we have 2 good years in there and 1 not so good year. The 2018 season, 2018, 19, and most of 19 weren't very good. We had really bad weather from basically July of 18 through July of 19. So there was still a down year in there. So it kind of levels it out amongst those 2 years. The first year of COVID was phenomenal. We did almost as good this past season, not quite as good, but almost as good. So traditionally, when I do any of these fee increases, I use a 3 or 4 year average.
My only other comment, and it's wonderful that Dave's not here because I get to talk so much more. All kidding aside, 2 quick comments. One would be, I from a marketing perspective, I love to see where my fees are going. And at some point, if I'm a golfer, whether it's a page or pictures or wherever, all those improvements that you talked about earlier, it will be a great way to show how much work's been put into the course and how many enhancements are being made. And then the other question, Tom, it's not pertinent to accepting or denying the fees, but remind me, does the course offer any kind of a feedback mechanism for post-golf evaluation? I had a good experience, a survey, anything like that?
Yep. Actually, our Pro Shop software, if you book an online tee time, about 3 to 4 hours after the expected time of your round, you get an email or a text asking you to provide some feedback. And John Varengia regularly goes through that and collects comments, and he talks to Brian Johnson every day. So if there was who's our superintendent, for those who don't know. So if John sees a comment about some kind of bad, poor course condition, if that was the case, I mean, they're on it, the next morning at the very latest, if not that afternoon. And those guys are in communication nonstop. And then, so yeah, that's something we've been doing for a few years. When we turned over to our new software, I think 3 years ago, that was a major component of it. John shares that with me regularly as well.
And on that note, Tom, there's a thing called a Net Promoter Score, which is kind of used in a lot of different businesses where people rate their experience, and it's a score that it's a common benchmark, I guess is what I'm trying to say. And it's not a bad idea if you guys are already doing surveys to maybe take a look at that and try and incorporate it. Just a thought. So I'll stop talking. Does the rest of the commission have any comments or questions about the rate increases, or about the fees, I should say? Really, there's very few rate increases actually, right, Tom?
Yeah, I mean, it's basically just the golf carts and those weekday specials.
Yeah. Any other questions or comments?
Well, to have the value that we have for such a wonderful public course, and the beauty of the facility and the professionalism of the staff, I mean, this is a great value for the town and a wonderful asset. So I'm impressed that you could keep the numbers the way they are. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay. Well, if no other comments, I would ask for a motion to accept the fee schedule.
So moved.
Looks like we have Liz, right? Liz give us the motion. Do we have a second? Oh, Lori. I saw Lori. There we go. So we have a second. Any discussion? All in favor of accepting the proposed fee structure? Any opposed? Looks like that motion carries. Tom?
We're going to let Dave in now.
No, we're not going to let him in. So I've been having so much fun talking. I mean, it's been like Christmas for me. I've been able to talk and talk and talk. So
we're going to let him know how this has been a remarkably smooth meeting.
So we'll hand the reins over to Dave, who is now in attendance, right? I can't see him on my screen for whatever reason, but he's here.
Connecting. We'll let him say hello when he's ready. Dave, are you there? There we go. He's still connecting.
No worries. This is a remarkably quiet group tonight.
Well, we haven't
sure
gotten to
Heather-
the aquatic fees yet. You haven't heard my comment.
There we go. That's what I like.
That's fine.
Lori.
That's fine.
And I have
Listen.
a question about when we can start signing up for camps.
Yep, I will answer that in just a moment.
Okay.
And Lori, Liz will tell you whether I execute on this is a different story, but my theory has always been that, good debate is a great thing, right? Because we get different perspectives and we get, different ideas, and it's not a bad thing to question. Oftentimes I personally don't do great because I get so passionate about things. Like in the last meeting, I tend to go a couple of degrees further than I should, but overall, I think conversation is a great thing to have if there's questions. So.
Agreed.
So it looks like Dave's still connecting, so we'll let him say hello. I think rather than just us holding up,
Sure.
let's move on to the aquatics and day camp fees. And if Dave says hello while we're talking about this, and he'll certainly chime in. So what I'd like to, same process as the golf course. We review our fees, we review our expenses. We are significantly impacted on the recreation side of things by minimum wage increase. And we have two this year. July 1st, minimum wage goes from 13 to 14. And then on June 1st of next year, which is part of this part of the fiscal year budget that we're working on right now, we go from 14 to 15. And those are significant increases when you think about how many lifeguards and how many camp counselors we have. And they are the backbone of our workforce. So as we go through these fees, I will tell you they're largely driven by minimum wage. We are seeing increases in our utilities, as you are at home, for electric, our gas, for the vehicles, and our heating for natural gas as well. Significant increases this year in our utilities and the things, especially minimum wage. So our minimum wage increases basically work out for the aquatics program to about $20,000 to $21,000 in the coming year's budget. So with an eye on that, we are looking at fee increases. We've been very successful selling season passes the last couple of years. And you're going to notice on the proposed fees here that we've made it, there's a modest increase in when you see two prices here, pre-sale and in season. The pre-sale goes from as soon as we start selling through May 31st. That's your first price. So if we're looking at resident family of 4 at $170, that's your pre-season sale price. After that, it goes to $230. As unpredictable as the weather can be, we still have, whether it's a 95-degree day in July or a 70-degree day with clouds, we still have to staff the pool appropriately. We can't just send kids home, not have them come in because if the clouds clear, people come out. So we still have a significant staff number there unless the pool is closed for the day due to rain. So we have to plan accordingly. We love it when people buy. We love it when people buy season passes. So we're basically, this fee setup is structured to encourage people to buy their season passes before May 31st and not wait till later in the summer. So there is, I guess, if you want to look at it as there is a penalty to waiting, I guess that's it. You pay a little bit more. So we're encouraging that. But for those families who buy season passes, they typically use them. Most families, I would venture, get their money's worth for that family of 4 season pass at $170, considering the daily price for admission is $7. So that would be $28 a day. Doesn't take long to get 20 to get to 170, doing that a few times. So as we go through the fees here, that just keep that in mind. Modest, $5 increases for seniors, $5 increase for the additional family members on their pass. We are keeping the daily price the same. I think we've determined that we're really at the top of the market for what we can get right now. We saw a dip last summer in the daily admissions coming into the pool. Significant drop in. Part of that is hopefully people are buying season passes, but those daily pass revenues that we used to get thousands of dollars on, they're not coming in anymore. Whether it was COVID or our price is too high, we tend to think, our price is getting a little too high. So we're going to keep,
It is.
we're going to suggest keeping those prices at 7 and 9 and no higher this year. Eventually, if the town doesn't redo our revenue fund to support this more as a public service rather than those who can afford it kind of thing, those prices will rise if that doesn't happen. We're going to go up $5 on swim lessons, $10 on the swim team, suggesting, and that generates about the $20,000 we need to cover our minimum wage increase. It doesn't fully get us to where the utility increases are going, but it's what we think we're comfortable with. So I'll hit the one day camp really quick, and then we can kind of just answer everybody's questions. Camp stuff to do. Again, there's 16 to 17 day camp counselors over there, all on that seasonal payroll with significant increases this year. So that's going to go up, and then somewhat in demand too. We've taken as many kids as we can get over there. We can't really squeeze any more in. That's going to go from 205 to 219, and that generates about enough to cover the minimum wage increase with that program and our supplies. We do a lot of, we bring entertainers in over there. We do a lot of art supplies. Those fees are increasing about 33% over what we've typically paid in the past. So that's the reason for the fee increase there. I would be happy to take any questions.
Hey, Tom. So don't think I have too many questions. I'm glad you explained about, the minimum wage increase in utilities. And I think I have the same fear somebody else just mentioned, is that it's getting to the point, like, when do we stop raising prices? Because it is getting very cost prohibitive for many people. I know it's only gone up a few dollars maybe for individuals, but I noticed the season passes in the last 5 years have gone up $45, and it's only going to get worse. My concerns also within the last couple of years of COVID, a lot of people have lost their jobs or they're not bringing money in. I'm afraid we're going to start pricing people out of this. And I know we've had this argument back and forth. I know this town is not helping us as far as, like, like you said, we're starting to become where we have to grab all the revenue and they're not kicking in. And so how is this going to end? And I'm concerned about the end result of all of this, because I think the prices are getting very high.
Yeah, Lori, I appreciate the question. And if you've heard me talk, if you heard me speak in front of the Board of Selectmen, when I proposed these fees and during our budget period, I've said the same thing. My greatest fear is that we're going to become a private country, that we're going to basically be a private country club, municipal private country club. And that's certainly, I don't think what any of us want to see. I have strong feelings about the minimum wage increases. I don't want to make it too political here, but they're not only hurting, causing these fees to increase based on the way we have to present our budget. At some point, I'm going to get on my soapbox here. So if Dave and Kelly will indulge me just a little bit, I like to think that the Simsbury Farms pool is a public service as much as the Simsbury Library or Eno Hall or anything like that is. Mm-hmm. And, we provide just as important a service to the community as those other institutions do. And those are great institutions, don't get me wrong. But the way the rec department budget is set up, it's a fee-based, it's a user fee-based budget for the vast majority of it. And the town manager and the Board of Selectmen have recognized that there's some deficiencies, structural deficiencies in that. And they have been working to try to get that subsidy, increase our subsidy to pay for things like, the health insurance increases, the utilities, our cleaning supplies, our toilet, at Simsbury Farms, the users are paying for the toilet paper and the elevator repairs and our lights to keep our lights on. You walk into the library, you can use the facilities there through your tax dollars. And
Right,
those are shared community expenses. Whereas at Simsbury Farms, it's the users of that facility basically covering all of the fees. And it's a public building, it's a public facility. And as our expenses rise, we have no way to cover other than doing fee increases the way things are set up right now. And I wish that wasn't the case. And we try to keep, again, using our average attendance. We threw out the COVID year and we use 2018, 2020, 2021 to come up with what we think is an appropriate number to meet our costs. And that's what we did here. But I 100% agree with you. To go beyond 7 and 9, that's really tough. That's a tough sell. By using the, encouraging people to buy the season pass, you can break, going up $15 on the preseason for a family of 4, that's $2 $2 to $3 a person. Yeah, that's a modest increase in my opinion. And but it's still an increase, but it's one that is needed to cover what we have to cover under the guidelines that I'm working with right now. And everything, it's not just the gas too. I said gas minimum wage. Everything from the lifeguard swimsuits to our first aid supplies are skyrocketing right now. So it's not just I was remiss in not saying it's not giving you the whole picture, but that's just to say it's minimum wage is that's the biggest piece of the pie, but it's every purchase we make in support of having a pool that's safe for the residents to come to has risen. So
I was looking on our sheet. Are we still charging for lap swims? Like you pay your fee and then you have to pay another fee to do a lap swim at a specific time, which
if you have a season pass, I believe that season pass covers you for the lap swim. If you don't have a season pass, you pay, I believe, a $3 or $4 admission price for that lap swim.
Danielle, you had a question?
I can chime in.
It's just from a personal experience because not everybody, yes, I agree. If you can do the season pass and you're here all summer, those families always are like, yeah, they use it all the time. I'm talking because I'm not here all summer. So I get when I go pay the daily rate, and none of my friends can afford it because they have 3 or 4 kids, or if they're not season holders, like it just adds up and it gets really expensive. And I always felt like growing up, that was just like everybody always went there and it was so easy to go there just for the day. And now it's like kind of a luxury. And I don't feel like that should be the way it is in Simsbury. I don't feel that's the way that it is in the farms. So, and I don't know if Memorial is going to be open to more. I don't know what the issues are, but it just, I do think it's getting a little steep. So I don't know what can be done about it, but it worries me.
I almost think you have to get the citizens of the town involved and say something to the Board of Selectmen and who's in charge of all this, and say enough is enough. It's like we're trying on our end, but they're not listening to us as the board. It's just like they're kind of hanging us out on our own to, like you said, it's fee-based, everything's going because they're not chipping in as a tax base. I don't know if the town actually realizes the predicament that we're in.
I think they do. Dave and those of you who have spoke at the budget hearings, I think they hear it. They know. I know the town manager knows. We've talked about it nonstop. Right now, the subsidy, the general fund subsidizes the Parks and Recreation Fund $180,000. That's the subsidy, and that doesn't go very far when you consider as much people as we have, or as much as the facility costs us to run every year. But it is one of those. The facility is one of those things that makes Simsbury, and when you move here, you would like to be able to use that facility, take advantage of it as much as possible. I'll point out on this daily fee, though, we've done our best. If you look back to 2017, we were only charging $5, so it's a $2 increase over. It's over 5 years. And during that time, minimum wages was, I think in 2017, it was in the 9s. And now this summer we're paying guards $14, a new guard off the street, $14 to $15 an hour. That's significant.
David, you had a comment I believe you were going to make.
Well, so I think it comes back to, for those of us that have had the displeasure of attending numerous Board of Finance meetings, Board of Selectmen meetings, as much as we've advocated for exactly, Lori, kind of the position you have, you've stated that we're going to price ourselves out of the market. Like it or not, we're falling on deaf ears because of the priorities that exist in the town relative to other infrastructure projects, relative to budget of education projects. I am in full support of what Tom is proposing because we're stuck with these fixed cost increases. As we've all seen, we go to the grocery store, we go to the gas station, we go anywhere, everything costs more. We cannot, if we continue to operate at a significant deficit, which we aren't, but if we were to do that, we then run the risk of the message being sent from Board of Finance in particular was, well, then you have to cut services. And that's the last thing we're looking to do. So Tom has tried with his staff to come up with a very legitimate increase based upon the known increases in the market. We aren't increasing this for profit. We're increasing this just to stay at the bottom line. And although no one likes to see those increases, ready? I paid $9.99 for a cut of meat the other night that I used to pay $5.99 for. And there is nothing I can do about it other than say, I'm not going to have that cut of meat. And I don't want the Board of Finance to be telling us that's what we need to do. So where my hop on point is Tom and his staff been very thoughtful. Like it or not, these are necessary. In today's inflationary market, this is what we need to do.
Hey, does the town do anything for people? I mean, this might not be a lot for you and I, but there are people in town who don't have a lot of money. Do they do anything to assist? Like, say, if they want to get a pool pass for their kids and they're out of work or they just don't have the funds, do they do anything to assist them?
Yeah, actually, that's a great question. I'm glad you asked. So our social services department maintains a scholarship fund where they have helped with things like swim lessons or passes or day camp tuition in the past. So, when we get those calls, we refer them to the social services department, who does like a qualifying interview. And then they let us know that, family X qualifies for that. And that, we just bill it to that social services scholarship account. And that's helped a lot of families over the years. And I know they've, they call, I speak to them regularly, and they reach out to us to let us know that they have additional funding and funnel people to them if anybody asks. So
I'm going to throw a quick comment in, and it speaks a lot to Dave's point about these fees being necessary. And I agree with that. I think, essentially Tom's trying to run a business, and the business has to have those costs covered one way or the other. And since the fee structure that you're proposing is the only mechanism you've got to cover those costs, you pretty much have to do what you've shown from what I've seen. But the second piece of my comment regards how us as a commission have an obligation to communicate. And it means we need to communicate to this is just my opinion, to the Board of Selectmen, that we've reached kind of that inflection point where the fees that we're seeing that are needed to run the department are becoming unwieldy. And the general public, I would have to guess, isn't aware of a lot of what we're dealing with. The people
That's
that
what
pay
I was
attention.
trying to say, that I don't know if all the public knows this.
Yeah, I think you're right, Lori. I think you're right. I think the general public just kind of goes along and they see what the tax increase is every year, and they expect that things will continue to be as they are. And unless there's a clear communication from us that says funding needs to be increased, and even if that happens, I'm not sure we're going to get what we need. I believe that the general public needs to be made aware of the fact that they have two choices. It's either they're going to raise their taxes to cover the incremental costs, or we're going to raise the fees. I mean, really, that's the way I see this. I'm not sure if it's as simple as that. But so given that, somebody smarter than me should come up with a way to portray that to the general public if that's possible.
What options do we have what's our vehicle for communication?
Attending Board of Finance meetings and voicing our need for better funding, it'd be the first one. The Board of Selectmen have generally been supportive of either the revenue fund, which again, we tried 3 times, 3 strikes, you're out. So it comes back to Board of Finance, and Board of Finance is actually, I got to tell you, has been pretty direct about, what, we're not raising taxes, so you guys figure it out yourself, because we're not raising the mill rate. And, which is an unfortunate, but we are in a competitive market for dollars. And I think what goes then to Danielle's and to Lori's comment is, next thing you know, if you cut little Johnny's program that he enjoyed, that's what gets people going. But we're trying so hard to avoid that being our mode of presentation.
Which is what I meant. Like, not everybody tunes into the Board of Finance meetings. So from us, what's our best way to communicate to the residents of the town?
Well, Liz, if I could throw an opinion in, this isn't necessarily, it's definitely not gospel. It's just an opinion. We have two constituent groups that we need to communicate with. The biggest one, of course, is the general public that needs to know where we stand on positions. And of course, as Dave said, we need to communicate in a tactful way with finance and Board of Selectmen. And I think they all work hard, no question about it, that we've reached that inflection point. So I think both of those are there. I am a firm believer that resolutions are good because they tend to be, now you have to consider the political implications, and we don't want to tick anybody off because then you get nothing, right? But at the same time, if it's worded correctly, if it's worded tactfully and positively, but just says, whoa, we've reached a point where, we're really in a bad way financially, and we absolutely, because otherwise we may be faced with, a group saying, well, cut, we're not going to give you extra, we may cut. We clearly know that's not going to fly.
I just want to take one second to add, Dave, if you give me 1 second here. I just want to add, just to be fair and show to make sure I'm showing the whole story or telling the whole story. the Board of Selectmen and the Board of Finance over the last 7 years have been supportive of infrastructure improvements at Simsbury Farms, whether it's the ice rink, whether it's the painting we've done down there, the mechanical equipment, the pool renovation in 16 and 17, and the recent painting to the Simsbury Farms main building that you'll see when you come back to the facility this spring. That was done late in the fall. And we also did the, oh my God, I have the tip of my tongue. Oh, the safety fence we put in last summer. So those boards have been very supportive of recognizing that, we did have some aging infrastructure up there and have, those were general fund supported projects. And I just want to make that clear that there has been some support and recognition of what we have going on up here. It's not, I don't want to, be so one-sided that, that we're saying they're not supporting our fee, our subsidy, but there's been some subsidy in other fashions. So,
and again, I will follow that up, that when we've run a deficit, we've identified that number, and it has been supported by both the Board of Finance and the Board of Selectmen to move money over where it is needed. Where one of our general complaints has been was we wanted to do a better accounting method and a better business model of let's establish a revenue fund where we identify dollars that are brought in. And when we have a profit, we put those back. But I totally agree with Tom from a standpoint of if we run a deficit, they question us on our fees big time. But once we justify the fees that we charge and we still say, hey, there's a deficit, they have covered that. Yeah. So part of the education of the public is their tax dollars are really still at work when we have a problem. We've had a couple great years of the golf course and we've been able to, create extra dollars, but these are the ongoing battles we have. But when the bottom line comes to it, they haven't shut down any services yet. And so that's why the dialogue continues.
Yeah.
Fair enough. I guess and Dave, I'll hand it back to you as chair, but I guess as a group, we should discuss, what do we, if anything, need to do to bring the issue to the forefront? And I really don't want to, belabor the point, but.
Yeah, I would say, what we did last year, we've done the last couple of years, or your board has done. I apologize for speaking on your behalf. It's important to advocate for those community shared expenses. That's what really would create a halt to the fee increases. It's going to necessarily how much it's going to push them back, but those things like the building utilities, the cleaning supplies, the paper supplies, the staff expenses from the full-time staff and benefits related to that. Though, I use the example all the time that the person who coordinates senior center activities is fully tax funded, but the person who coordinates activities at Simsbury Farms is completely user-based. Yet they're doing almost the same job. They're providing a coordination of services for the community, and same thing with the staff at the library who coordinates children's and adult activities there. Those are fully tax supported staff members with their benefits, whereas ours are not. Those are the things that money, the utilities and the staff, that's what would keep these, fees at bay and make hopefully the programs and the services like swimming lessons and daily admissions and lifeguard fees more affordable than they are now. So that, if you're looking for my opinion on where some advocacy needs to take place, it needs to continue in that direction. And I know it's something that the board and the revenue fund subcommittee have tried to tackle. But it's hard when you don't want to raise the mill rate and where do you find the money to do that? Where do you find the $200,000 to $300,000 to take care of those expenses I'm talking about in the general fund budget? That's a big pill to swallow. It's going to take some courage and some creative thinking on how to do that, and advocacy. So I'll get off my soapbox.
Well, this was good. I needed to hear this because honestly, I was going to vote no for the fee rate. But now we understand.
No, Lori, at the same token, now I'm on my soapbox. I don't think there's anything wrong with a vote that says we weren't unanimous, that we had board members who felt strongly. or commission members, excuse me, that felt strongly that they didn't like a pricing structure.
Okay.
I think it's important we approve them, but I have no issue with a little dissension in the ranks that says, look, we're not just all on board here, because now I can use that and Tom and Kelly can use it as we go and advocate to say we didn't have a unanimous vote on this because there were some real concerns.
Okay.
Yeah. All right. So, and again, I'm sorry I popped on late. Tom, I think we need a motion to approve the fees as proposed. Is that correct?
Yeah. Before you do that, Dave, Chris Boswell, our new member, is on the would like to speak, I think.
Yeah, I was just saying, what about thinking of it in a different way, using like the 50th anniversary, one of those activities as like a fundraiser? Because I know that the Friends of Simsbury Farms does a lot of the extra projects, but they don't really, and again, when I was doing that too, they don't really look at it for existing, day-to-day costs, to supplement that. And if you did something on like the, 50th anniversary day and had a big fundraiser for basic cost, you'd probably get a lot of attention in town, and it could go toward, your overhead costs and not just an extra project that somebody's trying to raise funds for.
Hey, Tom, can I take this one?
Absolutely.
Well, Chris, you are going to fit in so well. Oh, I can't believe the comments you just made from a standpoint of recognizing if we have a 50th, anniversary celebration, how do we want to engage the community from an activity standpoint, but also a fundraising standpoint? You have no idea how soon you're going to be contacted to be talking about what are our alternatives and what are our ideas about celebrating the 50th year. So you're spot on. You're absolutely spot on. Welcome aboard. I'm sorry I wasn't here earlier. But when I hear comments like yours, I think you fit in. I can already tell you fit in really, really well.
Thank you.
Yeah, I wanted to second that. It's a great idea. And I also have a quick question, Tom. So there's no
Yes, go ahead.
koala kids again?
There is no koala kids again. I don't have, as some of you know, I am kind of the de facto summer camp programmer along with my regular job. And it's just a program it's very labor intensive. The cost would have been significant. Awesome adventure this year probably won't happen until at least the late part of the summer. I just can't coordinate more than the Camp Stuff to Do program and the other camps that we have.
Camp Stuff to Do, you can't be there until you're 5 or going into kindergarten?
Entering first grade, yes.
Entering first grade. So all those kids and then the teenagers, again, are probably not going to get anything because the Awesome Adventure. I just think camp is such an essential, I know everybody's fighting for those spots for stuff to do. It's just, and there's not enough spots for that. Again, I agree with Larry. I just wanted to understand what was going on.
Yep. No, I appreciate that. And I should have hit on it before. It's a staffing thing. I'm spread very thin as it is already. And until we're able to solve that staffing problem and get somebody in to be a kind of a program coordinator, then some of those things may return. The issue, I'm trying to get around it with Koala Kids is we're using the Apple Barn almost every week for an enrichment camp, whether it's art, Legos,
there's enrichment camps. That's
cooking
good.
camp. We're trying to make as many of those available to the 5-year-olds as possible. We have some sport camps that are available to 5-year-olds, and we're trying to increase the age on the other side. When we're using our contracted staff for those. So it's disappointing because I cut my teeth, running all of those programs, and I love them dearly, but I just can't put on, I don't believe I can do a quality program with.
No, it's just camps are so expensive, the private camps, and it's just something that's so good for kids, but we got to do what we got to do. Okay. Thank you for answering the question.
Tom, can you tell me the 219 for the stuff to do? How many days is that?
It's a 5-day program, roughly about 7 hours a day.
7 hours a day for 5 days, and it's 219 per week?
Correct.
Proposed.
You cannot get a babysitter for that kind of money. Trust me.
No. I know. I'm just trying to make sure I understand the breakdown.
Yeah.
Thank you.
No problem.
All right, so we've had a healthy discussion here for sure. Do I have a motion to approve the 2022 proposed aquatic and day camp fees?
I'll make that motion.
I see Kelly. Do I have a second? Am I allowed a second?
I'll make a second.
There you go. Thank you, Tim. All right, so any further discussion? All those in favor, please either indicate by saying aye or raising your hand.
I have discussion.
Discussion, go ahead.
Will there be more day camps considered to be added to this list?
Day camp in the traditional sense, no, but we are, like I mentioned before, we are offering half day and full day options of programming at the Apple Barn for, again, whether it's computer camp or movie camp or art camp, cooking camp, those type of things. And then there's half and full day sport camps as well that we'll be adding through in the coming weeks.
And so that should all be available for information for our public mid-February, late February?
Yeah, you'll see, if for those of you who want to go to the simsburyrec.com website, we're adding programs daily. Our hope is that the vast majority, if not all of those programs, will be in place after February 14th. So the week of Valentine's Day, we hope to open up registration for swimming lessons, pool passes, day camp, and those type of things. But about a week in advance of that, we'll put things on Facebook and send out email blasts to our client base and try to get the word out that registration is beginning.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you for the question.
No, and I think that it's part of the discussion. I think it is important that we are supportive of Tom and his proposed fees. He's been very reflective. He's taken into account the known increases that we must deal with, like it or not, having nothing to do with the town or taxes, simply having to do with increased rates. That, it's important that we do everything we can to keep as many of these programs going as we can. That said, can we have a vote? All those in favor, please say aye or raise your hands.
Aye.
Aye. I can't, so ready, this is the beauty of Zoom, is I can't see all of you at once. Tom, can you see everybody?
Yeah, hold on one second.
Why don't you do it by each person then?
That's a good idea.
Yeah, you can count it out too. You can slide
There we
through the
go.
cards.
Ready. Let's go here and say, let's do this. Lori, what is your vote?
Nay.
Okay. Kelly,
Yes.
Rachel,
Yes.
Liz,
Yes.
Chris.
Tom said I couldn't vote.
Yep.
Okay. That's all right. Danielle,
No, nay.
Tim,
All right. Yes.
Heather.
Heather can't vote.
Yeah, Heather's just here for the recording. So am I right on is it 4-3? Dave is yes.
Yes, I believe it's 5-2, unless I miscounted.
1, 2, 3, 4. It's 5. 5 for on the positive
5-2.
side.
Sorry.
1, 2.
No, so I appreciate the well thought out, the well discussed, and seeing that it's 5-2, it passes. So thank you. This is a great way to get the year started. Is healthy discussion on where we are and where we're going. Tom,
hey Dave, before we go further in the agenda, we didn't get a chance to introduce Chris Boswell yet, so we kind of just started moving, and I was remiss in that. So. I'd like to welcome Chris Boswell as a new member of the Parks and Recreation Commission, Culture Parks and Recreation Commission. Chris, would you like to introduce yourself to the group and to our members and our viewers at home a little bit about yourself?
Sure. I feel like I'm a kind of a super user of Simsbury Farms. I've been 20 years on the Simsbury Mother Ducks and 25 years in the paddle leagues, play pickleball. I'm a regular golfer in 2 different leagues at the golf course. And I run the fitness trail regularly. So I use just about all aspects of Simsbury Farms. My family's donated a pavilion in memory of my husband up there. So hopefully, I can contribute some ideas of things that I've seen along the way.
Well, and Chris, that again is
Thank you, Chris. Very happy to have you.
Yeah, sorry we didn't have a chance to earlier on let you jump in, but there's nothing better than, so what motivated you? Is it because you're a user that you wanted to be part of this commission, or what was the thought process as you went to say, hey, look, I'd like to join?
Yeah, and it's starting to see things that, areas where I do think we could, at least evaluate whether we can do some improvements and things. So I have more time now, so I felt like maybe I can contribute.
So I know I saw an email from Tom that he encouraged you when you had the time to come up and chat with him, to have him maybe give you a little tour around. It sounds like you might give Tom a tour around.
I did chuckle when I read that.
But at the same time, I would love to offer a time to perhaps meet with you and give you some of the dynamics you've already heard about tonight. That, much of what we do is nice, it's recreation, everything else, but then we also, frankly, battle and debate with the powers to be, especially on the money side. And I'd love to bring you up to speed, whether it's a meeting with myself and you or Tom and you and I, because you'll find a lot of what we talk about. It's great when we have Eagle projects to talk about. It's great when we have, we're building this playground, but at the same token, the advocacy is a big part of it as well. So just, I'm opening my door that whenever you would like to learn more about a long history, I'd be happy to share it.
Great, thank you.
Great. You want to move on to the budget?
Sure.
Okay. Actually, before anybody else leaves, we should probably, Kelly was kind enough to put off the election of officers for the commission. We should probably do that now, just in case somebody else has to step off before I get long-winded again.
So I might then suggest, Kelly, can you take the lead on any nominations for chairman?
Yeah, I would say we're going to open this up to the commission. If anyone would like to make a nomination for chair, anybody? If not, then I will nominate David Bush as chairman. Lori?
I see a second from Lori. I would be happy to continue to serve. This is a great commission. Tom does a great job. Kelly does a great job. And I see some challenges coming in the future that I think from a historical perspective, it might be helpful to have some of the background. So I'd love to serve again if you folks would like me to.
Yeah, so do we have to have a vote here? We have a nomination, we have a second. So I guess all in favor of David Bush as chairman of the Simsbury Park and Rec Commission, please raise your hand.
Aye.
Looks like it carries.
And I will obviously abstain.
Looks like that motion carried.
Yep.
There we go. And then let's follow that up. I would nominate my fine cohort in crime, Kelly, as the vice chair. He's done a great job. He's been an advocate. What I like in particular, when Kelly gets a project under his craw, he makes it known. So I would look for a motion to nominate Kelly as the vice. I see Lori. Do I have a second? I see Heather. Excuse me, I see Rachel. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
There we go. That's unanimous passing. Tom, thank you for reminding us to make sure we took care of that.
Yep. And
All
Dave,
right.
I just want to let you know, Chris hasn't been sworn in yet. That's why I asked her not to vote on anything yet.
No, and so
As soon as she gets sworn in.
but I would appreciate if the minutes, Heather, could reflect that the only reason Chris wasn't voting is she hasn't been sworn in yet. What's next, Tom?
Thank you. So let's move on to, I just want to give you a quick update on our budget process for my staff and I, John Tebow, Brian Johnson, Orlando Casiano, and I put together. We have two budgets that we have to turn into the town manager's office. One is the general fund budget, which is primarily our parks maintenance expenses. And then we have the Simsbury Farms Fund, or we call it the Parks and Recreation Fund now, which is Simsbury Farms and all of our recreation programming and staff expenses related to that. So in process of that budget, we've done that. We've turned in a capital projects list as well, request. We've met with the town manager, the board of finance. I'm sorry, the town manager, Maria Capriola. We've met with Amy Merriweather, the director of finance, and we've met with Melissa Appleby, the deputy town manager. They are currently, we've had our initial review. They're going over our budget as well as the other departments ahead of putting together a budget presentation to the Board of Selectmen. I can tell you that I turned in a budget for the Parks and Recreation Fund with it comes out to be about a 1.5% increase over last year, and a general fund parks maintenance budget, which is about 4% higher than last year. Both of those budgets are heavily impacted by minimum wage. They're heavily impacted by increases to fuel and electricity, as well as regular everyday supplies like cleaning. But the major drivers are utility, gas, and minimum wage. We do have contractual increases on both for staffing expenses on both sides of that budget. There are 10 full-time employees on the parks side, as well as a portion of my salary and our administrative secretary salary. On the Simsbury, on the Parks and Recreation Fund side, there's 4 full-time people at the golf course, 5 part-time, 1 full-time on the Simsbury on the park side, as well as a portion of my salary and our administrative secretary side, as well as about 100 seasonal employees, give or take a head or two there. The reason why that increase wasn't more on the revenue on the Simsbury Farm side or the Parks and Recreation Fund side is I did eliminate, as I said, eliminated the adventure camp seasonal salaries. I cut that down quite a bit. So that number came down. And then some, some related programming expenses that they just, through attrition, we just don't do those anymore. We just haven't done them in a few years. So it turns out to be offset somewhat, but the driver for any increase at all was certainly minimum wage. Just on the aquatic side alone, it was 20,000. So a couple of projects I want to highlight in the on the CNR request are $65,000 for work at the Simsbury Farms Golf Clubhouse. If you recall, last year we started with we proposed 2 years, $35,000 in the current year, which the boards, all 3 boards did approve. Your board and the finance and the selectmen approved that $35,000 with the thought, the 2-year plan of it being 65 in the upcoming budget, and that's going to go toward some interior work in the restrooms, the mechanicals, HVAC, that kind of thing, plumbing. $65,000 doesn't go as far as you think it would. So there's a good chance we're going to have to add a 3rd year into that as well. It's a new backstop at the Weetog softball field in that part of town. It's a contribution toward hopefully restrooms at the Simsbury Meadows. Public restrooms available to trail users, park users, playground users at Simsbury Meadows. We're hoping that there may be a build out. The town is going through a grant process right now to attain funds to do a build out along with the performing art. We're partnering with the Performing Arts Center on that. So we're waiting to hear back. We did request some money for cart paths at a 3-year plan of cart paths at the golf course. That number has been kicked back a few years, but we've once again come back and asked for it. A tractor to do some maintenance on the bike trail, long-term maintenance on the bike trail. the replacement of the golf clubhouse roof at $70,000. Those of you who go up there regularly will probably not be surprised to see a shingle or two every time you walk up the sidewalk that is blown off the roof. That's the original roof on that building. It's over 20 years old, and under the conditions up there with the heavy wind, we're just that roof needs work, and it's going to need to be replaced this year or next. And then an irrigation system, some irrigation system work at the Little League Park. We do have a $350,000 request in for complete renovation, or complete tear out and rebuild of the pickleball courts at Terrafil. We are hoping that there might be other funding than taxpayer money for that. We've been pursuing some federal money for that, and I'm hopeful that might be the case. But if not, that I did put that request in. That $350,000 would encompass 6 post-tension concrete pickleball courts with all new fencing in the footprint of the existing old asphalt courts at Terrafil. We can't replace as is because we would be throwing money out the window. It doesn't make any sense to make repairs over there. The asphalt, the base under that asphalt court is shot. There's a high water table over there. Every time we have a freeze thaw cycle, it just cracks more and more. It's gotten to the point where we can't make repairs any longer that make sense over there. It needs to be post-tension concrete. And what that is, for those of you who don't know, it's concrete with rebar in it, and it doesn't move. Once it's in the ground, on the ground, it stays. And it's an amenity that is important to a lot of people in town. There's a growing pickleball community. We've gone through the discussion chapter and verse and where the best place to put it is, but having that location at Terrafil, I think would be great. It would bring people to that community. It brings people to that park where we've had issues with vandalism. Certainly there would be a higher, more maintenance over it would allow us to, I don't want to say pretty it up, but it would be a great amenity to have at that location, have people there all the time, bring some importance, some notoriety to it, for a lot of different reasons. And pickleball people travel, and we not only, I think, would be Simsbury people going over there. There are people from other towns coming over there and using the restaurants that are in Terrafil or other parts of Simsbury as they travel through, whether it's Gas or Dunkin' Donuts or Antonio's, those type of places. It's a good thing. I hope we get support for it through this budget process. It's something I've been talking about for a number of years, and just last week we had a hearing on the ARPA funding, and there was a number of pickleball people who supported that project through that funding mechanism, and I'm hopeful that will take place. The big nugget in our request this year is the golf course irrigation system and repair work to the dam that's on that retention pond on the third hole over there at the golf course. That work, we did a study a few years ago that recognized that basically stated that the golf course system is 25 plus years old. It's not designed to go past that. It needs to be replaced. It's been pushed back a couple of years since we made the initial request that started out as I believe a $1.6 to $1.7 million project. It's now, as price increases, things keep increasing. We're probably looking at a $2.2 million irrigation system, as well as $300,000 worth of work to the required work by the state to the dam and spillway over there. So it's a $2.5 million capital request. I'm hopeful that the boards will support it. They've seen it in their budgets now for a number of years. I know the Friends of Simsbury Farms have advocated on behalf of that project already, and Dave and everyone else advocated on behalf of that project last year. My personal feeling is it slots into the town's plan well this year. I think the boards recognize that it's there, and I think they plan for it. I just hope that as we move forward, we'll see that continued support, and that work, while approved this year, if it gets approved this spring, it'll probably. I know Brian Johnson's working on getting quotes for design work for now that we do have funds for design of that system, and that work would start at some point next year, probably toward the back half of 23. So that's a lot of talking there for a few minutes. I'm going to take a drink of water. You guys can ask some questions.
So that surface that you're proposing for the pickleball court is fantastic. It was put in 18 at the high school with tennis, and we were traditionally getting those beautiful springtime cracks every single year, and it would go through its process of bigger and deeper cracks. It's really a fantastic surface. Can't tell you how many years now, the 3 we'll see this spring, but it's fantastic. And I'm really hopeful that that goes through. That's great. The question I had was, we spoke about offline about the paddle steps, the windscreens and the heaters. Anything to do with the paddle for the budget?
Well, we did install 2 new heaters there this fall. Orlando repainted the stairs with some gritty paint. So I haven't heard any complaints other than your comments, Liz. Sorry.
Well, I don't think anyone realizes they're very they need texture. So like a metal texture would be better than the wood, and the railings are rickety, and the windscreens are shredded. So it just
well, we're still working on that. I know they repaired some of the windscreens this fall, but I'll have them take another look at it. But I wasn't aware the stairs were wobbly, but if that's the case, I'll get them to look at it.
I sent you an email about it.
But the heaters are brand new. There's 2 new.
Okay.
There's actually 4 heaters under there. 2 of them are brand new.
They're feeling a little overwhelmed by some of the weather, but it is what it is. Thank you.
You're welcome. Anybody else?
Just very quick, Tom. Are we going to move or replace the sign for the fitness trail? Was Dave Emmett?
Yes. Yes. There's going to be a new. It's going to be moved over to the ice rink side of that hill. You know where it is now. If you drive up the road, it's on the right. It'll be moved to the left. So there'll be basically you'll park at the bottom of the parking lot, walk up that sidewalk. It'll be on the hill, and the new start of the trail. I think we're going to relocate it to the top of the hill, and you'll then go to the Apple Barn cut through road and start the trail that way. There was some possible funding. I don't want to get too far off on this, but there was some possible funding from the Friends discussion for new signage. There's definitely going to be some wayfaring signage along the trail. We are we've had some discussions with the family about what their involvement would be. We had hoped to replace a lot of the equipment, and the Friends were ready to do it. Unfortunately, the company we were dealing with decided because of COVID, they're no longer selling that product, and it's a product that no one else makes. The next level up is really the exercise equipment, the stuff that moves, and you get into those costs. You're talking about $3,000 to $5,000 per unit, if not higher, which is a lot more expensive than the wooden, stuff that we have now, the balance beams and the racks and that kind of thing, which we think the racks we can get some more life out of the current metal equipment. A lot of the wood equipment is shot. The pads need the stone dust padding needs to be replaced. So, hopefully this spring you'll start to see some improvements out there, that you'll see the new sign. My inclination is that we can change the existing signage, freshen it up, the station signs, and freshen the pads up and make some repairs. That'll buy us some more time. I just don't think nobody right now has the funds to do, 20 stations, of fitness equipment, out there. It's a lot of money, and it's expensive right now. I believe as we get past the economic issues and constraints we have now, whether not just in our own budget, but other, the economy as a whole, those prices will eventually come down, and we'll be able to address that at a different point, or the Friends can help us address it. But I do, my hope is that by the end of May, we've got some new signage out there. We've made some cosmetic improvements and the new welcome signs there. Good question, but that's where we are right now.
What, Tom, also, I just want to mention very briefly, I ran into Linda Schofield out in the trail, and I think it was Mark. And he was asking me, well, how often do you see people using this equipment? And I have to say, I've been there almost daily for 13 years, and I will say never. I don't think anybody even uses that stuff out there. Might be an idea maybe just to get away from it. Go ahead, Lynn.
That's what I would say. Don't put money into it. It's just a little TLC, because most of the people that walk the trail don't use the fitness equipment anyway.
Yeah.
I was going to say, reduce the amount of opportunities. A few, 8, 11, whatever, is if you're going to have anything. It's more about the actual trail, to be honest with you, because I do the trail.
Totally agree.
And one of the things we've talked about, Kelly and I and Dave have talked about this at length. I think it's really important to get some signage up there so people who are new don't get lost. There's a lot of confusion about where to go around the maintenance garage. When you're on the back of, as you go down the hill behind the fourth hole or the fifth hole there, that's important to make sure people getting into the woods and out of the woods safely, without getting lost and knowing where to go. And as you go up 6, so you're not getting hit by golf balls. I think those are arrows on arrow signs. Those are easy to do. That forget about the fitness equipment on that. Those are things that we're going to get done first before we go into any station rehab.
Okay.
So I know we're running long here, and I appreciate everybody's patience.
No, but Tom, I think the input from the members here is important as it relates to communicating that back to the friends. Is wayfinding far more important than the actual equipment? So what's the next agenda item?
So now we get into the fun stuff, the playground renovation at, I'm going to share my screen again. So I got the pictures that some of you have seen in your packets. 1 second. So as you know, we've been working on plans to renovate the playground at West Mountain Park. This is the first of the neighborhood playgrounds that we're going to do. The town for the last 3 years has been putting $25,000 aside toward playground renovations, and Orlando and I identified the West Mountain Park one as the one most in need of a renovation. So over this fall or in the winter, we've been soliciting. We've been meeting vendors out there, soliciting some, listening to us, soliciting their designs that I'd like to get your feedback on and just show you. These aren't in any one particular order right now. We're working within a budget of about $50,000 for this project. So these 4 designs fall pretty close to that number. Some are a little lower, some one or two is a couple little higher that we can work with. But I just wanted to show you where we are right now. We're kind of making this a priority before the Simsbury Farms playground. We're hearing a lot of talk from every vendor about how their prices have gone up 33 or more percent, how they need a lot of lead time to get equipment to us and ordered. And when you look at these colors, this is generic colors at this point. We haven't picked the color scheme that we have that we really want, but these designs aren't representative of any particular scheme, but this is more to focus on the equipment. So this piece of equipment is made by a company called Burke. They're also known as Childscapes. This one has that, and if you imagine what the playground looks over there, we're dealing with a rectangle. We want to keep the swings that are there now. We're going to replace some of the swings. I'm hoping to put an expression swing over there as well. From what my understanding is, this playground is primarily used by neighborhood users who have younger children. We're not looking to put like an adult, an older kid's playscape over here. It's more of a neighborhood type thing where, families are out for a stroll. The kids are, the kids in the neighborhood can go play. So thinking that as you think about that, as you look through these designs, it's a rectangle shape that we have over there. There's not a lot of space before you get to the woods. You can't go much closer to the parking lot. And there's a fall zone around every piece of equipment. So I'm just, it's a tight box we're working in. So just keep that in mind as we look through these designs. But this first one from Burke, it's got a few slides. It has a climber, a little bridge, stairs, and this one has the umbrella over it. This particular one is from a company called Creative Recreation. They gave us a couple options where, the slides differ on it. You can see our existing swings in the background here. They've included a couple of spring animals, which we have over there now, an option for spring animals, but these would be new ones. This is just another view of it. You can see where they took that option right there and changed it around. Oh, actually, this is the back side of that one. The staircase is on the other side. It's got a little climbing piece over here. There's some play panels, I believe, on the other side as well. And here's another option for basically a different kind of slide. So I'm going to move on to the one from New England Recreation Group. It's more of a rustic looking one. It's got a play cave over here. This is kind of a spinny thing on the bottom, a little faux rock lead up to the staircase over here. Somewhat of a canopy. It's almost like you're stepping on leaf petals over here to get up onto that. There's another view of it from the other side. And then here's one from a company called Compan. This one, again, it does have the roof over the tower. There's a kind of like the bouncy seats. This one is a 3-seater. There's some musical elements over here. And the option on the left here is called a tippy. It's for users of all abilities, and you can kind of sit in it, and it wobbles and spins. You can lay a child who might be physically impaired could be placed in that and still get the spinning sensation and wobbly sensation on that piece of equipment. And another option that we had from them, instead of the tippy, has the playhouse, still has the bouncy seat, the musical instrument, and this is the option without the tower. Without the cover over the tower on that. So these are what we're considering, and we're still we can make tweaks to this, but I kind of want to give you an example of what $50,000 gets you for a playscape these days. We did our due diligence in getting 4 solicitations over there to talk to us about what we were looking for. We're not looking to duplicate what's there right now. Trying to get a little bit more bang for the buck in that location, to give some more play elements where possible. But anybody have any questions on that? Yep,
No,
go
I
ahead,
just
Lori.
had a comment that that little rustic one there does not quite look like it's worth $50,000. There's nothing to it. I mean,
Yeah.
really?
Well, it's these other pieces too. I mean, it's again, I thought it would be a good representation of show you 4 different things, show you what you actually get for that money now. And we're trying to save money. Our crew is going to do the tear out of the existing equipment. They're probably going to start on that as early as in the next week or the next 2 weeks, tearing that other equipment out, and we have to prepare the site to get it ready for any new equipment that would come in. And it's going to need all new wood chip fiber down as well. We had hoped to be able to do what's at the Simsbury Meadows, the Rotary Park playground. We would hope to do the poured in place. That's a great thing to have. It's very expensive and there's a maintenance life to it. So I wanted to, for example, this playscape right here, if we were to do the poured in place around this playscape and around these spring animals, it would have been an additional $44,000.
For God's sake, seriously?
It's not that big a space.
Oh my goodness.
It's really expensive. So just kind of there's some different options here. Is there anything that you really like?
Do any other members have any questions or comments? I look at Rachel. This is down the road from you, right?
It is. Yeah, it's Memberhead. Tom, I think you found some really nice options here. I think they would all fit. I can picture them all in the space. I do like the shade structures in the first one and the last one. I think that would be a really nice touch to have. Like I said, I could see all of them. Probably my preference would be that. I think that first one looks really nice, but I think that you found great choices here.
I had the first one also. I mean, my kids, I took them for years up to the playground across the street, and that kind of a design is what they just were drawn to.
Great. Anybody else?
I like the first one as well.
Yeah, and Tom, I think the first one also goes along with what we're learning. More and more people want shade, but I would also still emphasize that you folks are the experts, Tom. Yeah. So if you narrow this down to maybe 2, we'd love to hear back from you. But I think you've gotten some good input tonight that seems sending you at least in a direction.
I think I don't want to say I'm 100% behind any one of these at the moment, but I think I'll tell you Orlando's rankings. Orlando had this one first, or I can't remember which version. This one second.
Yep.
The last one was 3rd, and that was Orlando. This was Orlando's 4th out of those 4. I would say I'm torn between 3. I'm not a big fan of this one. The other 3, there's elements of the other 3 I really like. We are even looking at a possibility of, say, for instance, doing this playscape, but using one of the elements from the other vendor instead of the bouncy seats here or something.
Swings are important too, Tom. I think kids love swings.
We're going to leave the swings. Yep, all 3 options, all 4 options will maintain the swings we have there. But we may change out the swings themselves, like the expression swing. And, we want to, I think that expression swing is going to be very popular at Simsbury Farms. It's something that's popular to, young families. And, that's something I'm going to try to get in more places, I believe. So if I have money left over. And the bench,
Bench
yes.
is really
and benches.
important for old people.
Yep, I agree. We did have as some of you know, we did have an Eagle Scout who completed a project in the fall over there. He rehabbed the basketball court, so he resealed it, repainted it. He built a picnic table over there as well. That's adjacent to this little play area. So that park is getting some much needed attention. We're over there right now over the last few weeks, removing invasives along the border. I know Rachel probably sees those all the time, and there was a lot of vines growing along the backside of that playground that we've removed and cutting back. So it's we're doing a due diligence to spruce it up, and that park will be one of the ones that gets a new sign as we move forward in the entrance signs project. So appreciate your feedback. Thank you.
There we go. Look at that. Playgrounds are coming. All right. So old business.
Yes. So update on the facility maintenance tech. We have, I'm pleased to say that we've found our facility maintenance tech. His name is Ethan Deeds. Ethan has been with us. He actually promoted from within. So I'm happy to let you know that. Ethan's been with us for probably about 15 years or so, if not more. I apologize if I'm shorting on that, but he's most well known for the care of Memorial Park the last few years. He's been, he's basically been our full-time guy, keeping those fields up and responsible for the quality of those fields. He also works at the ice rink, and he's really excited to take on this new position. I know this spring I'm having him take a playground certification, getting his playground safety certification, and he's going to take the aquatic facility operators course both in March. So we're going to keep him busy and keep his brain stimulated very much so for the next 8 weeks. So he's got, I don't know if he knows what's coming, but I took the playground one. It's a hard course. It's a valuable course for somebody in our profession. It's basically kind of a risk management type of thing. A lot of insurance guys take it. A lot of people in our field who care for playgrounds, and, it helps you in assessing the safety of our regular inspections, assessing the safety of equipment, and the surfacing as well. So we think this is right up what we were looking for. We want to enhance the user experience for our patrons and our facility users. So we are now, because we've hired Ethan, we have a position to fill. We're backfilling his position, and we've accepted. We had 45 applications for that maintenance position. It'll be the new night person when they come on. We've narrowed that list to 6. And we're interviewing on Tuesday and Wednesday for that position. I'm hoping that they will be on board by the end of February.
Amazing that you get 45 applications.
Yeah, we've been very lucky. We had 80 combined for the 2 recruitments for the facility maintenance tech. So very qualified group, and we're excited to see where that comes from. I just want to give you an update on we talked a bit about at the last meeting, the internet connection at the golf clubhouse. I'm pleased to tell you that the clubhouse and restaurant are both now connected via an antenna at the moment to the town's fiber connection that's emitting out of the Simsbury Farms main building. The connection is much more stable than what they had before through that antenna when we had the Comcast line going to the clubhouse. It is hooked up to both. The Wi-Fi is steady. The phones are good. The work is not yet done on that system. There's another piece of equipment, technical equipment coming. It's beyond my ability to tell you chapter and verse what it does, but I am told it enhances the connection further. So I met with Mark from Shea Joseph last week up there, Shea Hospitality up there last week, and we checked the Wi-Fi signal in his facility. I've been on the Pro Shops computers, and I know it's steady. I've been on their phone. I know there's no static. But again, that connection from where it is right now is 3 or 4 times better than it was before. It's only going to get better when that other piece of equipment that's more compatible. I think it's a network switch or something like that, that's more compatible with the fiber signal. It'll enhance that signal further. It'll enhance that connection further. So they are in good shape there. And I know there was a lot of talk about that and making sure that that problem is solved. I think if we haven't fully solved it, we're well on the way to solving it before the golf course opens in the spring. Any questions on that?
No, appreciate the update though. And as we had recognized in the past, both Kelly and I, that's essential that not only the pro shop, but the restaurant has a stronger signal. And I appreciate the efforts in moving that along because you know what? That's the profit center. We got to make sure that they have as good an access as possible.
Yep, agreed.
Thanks, Tom.
You're welcome. Last but not least is our regular part of the master plan update here. And I'm going to start with what's on your screen right now. Hopefully all of you can see this no mow zone sign that Orlando and I have come up with. And if you've noticed if you played on the golf course the last couple of years, you've seen that we've had some natural areas growing up, part of the pollinator pathway project that the town has been supportive of. And we've done a lot of work at Simsbury Farms with it. You've seen at the bottom of the ice rink parking lot, we let that where that waterway is. We kind of let that grow up this year. We had some wildflowers growing there. We've tried to have it up on the hill at Simsbury Farms and along the exit road from the golf course. And Brian's done a phenomenal job with it out on the golf course. We've got a couple of pastures where we use that are left to grow at the triangle and on the corner of Great Pond and Laurel Lane. You know, a lot of people ask, you know, we get calls. Why is the grass so high? When are you going to mow it? So, you know, as part of, you know, we're trying to educate people. This goes right in line with the open space part of the master plan. And hopefully we're going to place some of these signs out there. There'll be one by the field on Laurel Lane, a couple on the triangle, some of the areas at Simsbury Farms that we're doing here and out on by the pool building and out on the golf course. I think these signs are nice. I think they for anybody walking by, it kind of gives you an idea of what we're trying to do and why we're not mowing it. You know, why are we not taking the time to keep it down to 2 inches or whatever? There's a reason for it. Not only for, you know, are we trying to be more, you know, trying to cut back on some of our maintenance, but there's an environmental benefit to that as well. And this is just the first part of that education. And I'm going to show these signs to the Open Space Committee next week. Some of them have already seen it. I'm hoping to get their approval on it as well. But if so, we'll put those into production and get those out when our guys get back out in the field in March.
Quick feedback, Tom.
Yes.
The font color, the white, it's really difficult to see.
It is. I'll take suggestions for alternate colors because I've tried every other color and it doesn't seem to work as well as the white. Anyway, I'll take suggestions on that.
You got to do just a solid background behind it. The grass is going to wash out everything.
Yeah, you just can't
like the grass.
see.
I like the grass and the blue sky though.
Red doesn't work.
The grass and the blue sky are the whole point.
That's what I thought.
Well, the white font is difficult to read, and that's where the important message is.
Yeah.
I love the no-mow zone. It looks great.
See, if you're looking at it from a distance, is it any better?
No, it's awful.
No, actually, it proves
the white font.
For example, here's the black in the corner. The black you can't see either.
Yeah, I'm just saying if you have a background, like it doesn't have to be like hard lines like a square. If you did soft lines like an oval or something to draw people's attention to it, but you gotta have a solid background if you're gonna have that text that small.
Hey Tom, I see 2 volunteers who are going to help you redesign this, and Liz and Tim.
Yeah,
I'd be happy to go at it
in the email. Trust me.
I'd be happy to go at it. I'll be happy to play with it.
Oh, Tim, take it on, Tim. Take it on.
Yeah.
So,
I just want people to be able to read.
Content standpoint, from a content standpoint.
No, it's fantastic. And
yeah.
Like Liz said, like that's the highlighted part, and that's what you want. And if you just do like this, people's eyes' attention goes straight to that, and they'll read that.
Yeah, a little cloud bubble, and then a cloud bubble in the middle, and then boom, you've got your font in there. We just want people to be able to be educated because you put some thought into it, and it's fantastic. It's a good message.
Yeah, the first version was a solid kind of blended color, and but then we saw, looking around, we kind of modeled the sign after another communities, and I really like their grass and blue sky, so I tried to make it work.
I'll just play with it.
All right. I appreciate the help and the feedback.
Increasing the insects going to be a selling point?
Well, I'll tell you, there's a big environmental push right now for pollinators. So that's what's kind of driving this here is, if you've seen the news, there's a reduction in bee population, the the obvious one is the bee population is
Right, but and then you
significant.
might be better off doing that, increasing the habitat for pollination and wildlife.
Yeah.
The insects
So
is going to be a turnoff.
Yeah, not just bees pollinate. It's the insects that roam around pollinate as well.
That's why you could get away with it, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, this is but yeah, the pollinator pathway. But this is great. Just a tweak.
All right. Well, dinner's calling my name. So,
All right. Last but not least, Kelly, this is your part. This is the last piece. I promise.
I know it is. I'm kidding.
So did I just lose it here? So on your screen, I did it a little bit different. I took the recommendations, the list of recommendations from the master plan, and I've given you here, and I apologize I didn't send this to you sooner, but just a quick update, and I'll send you guys all the files so you have it as well, but a quick update on where we are with the recommendations made by Weston and Sampson and our team on the master plan. You know, improving in the upgrading facilities. These are well in, West Mountain Park and Simsbury Farms playgrounds. We have a bench program now for the bike trail and some of our parks. You can see the new bench at Meadow Pond Park that we did last fall. That was a memorial bench, and there's a new one on the corner of Route 315 and 10 on the bike trail. We are hiring our position, so we'll be fully staffed at 10 by the end of October. I'm sorry, by the end of February, 10 maintenance positions, up from 9 last year. The recent Eagle Scout project improved wayfinding at Monument Mountain Park, and then the fitness trails in progress and the entrance signs at our parks as well. Parks funding for parks and facility maintenance up 4%, hopefully up 4% over last year. We're in the progress of selecting a maintenance software. It's been a slow progress with how busy we are and COVID to get this done, but we're working through it. Conservation and sustainability. I just want to call attention and give a shout out to Brian Johnson in Orlando. They have been really working hard and closely with the pollinator pathway group in town to get some of these areas set up and educate people. And this spring, you're going to see some more stuff down at Simsbury Meadows and I believe on the islands is along Iron Horse Boulevard is another area that might be wildflower planted as well. There's going to be a small garden at Town Hall. I know the pollinator group has done something at the library. So that's something we're really supportive of. And there's the open space committee as well as working on plans for, helping us map out when certain areas should be mowed to benefit the most for the pollinators in town, in our area. I'm kind of stalled on the trail mapping right now. It's just a staff time thing, it's a spread too thin to give that a lot of attention, but I'm hoping, 2022 we'll make some progress on it. We've gotten a group playing indoor pickleball right now at Squadron Line twice a week, or they had been. I think they might be on a COVID pause right now, but we've gotten some more gym use this year. Plans are well underway for more community events, including the 50th anniversary. What else here? Again, here's that discussion with the Open Space Committee involving invasive plant management as well. We're working on that and hopefully going to be doing some ranger program and education programs for the public on invasives this year. And I don't want to keep reading here, but you can see we're working on a lot of these things, and they're not overnight projects. All of these take time, and that was the idea. Is trying to give us a framework for what our professional business should be centered around, and we're working toward these as well as a lot of other projects. So
this is great, Tom.
You're welcome.
Really good.
Certainly, Tom. Again, we've had a lot on our agenda tonight. Let's keep this as an open agenda item for each meeting. And I want to emphasize that we don't expect you to kill all these down and take care of all these, because master plan takes time. I would ask a favor though. Can you make a point of sending the master plan to any commission member who was not on the commission at the time the master plan was adopted? I think it may be Tim and obviously Chris. And I didn't know if there was any other member that, just so they could compare the two. They can
absolutely
see that.
Yeah, I'll send it out to the group. It is available on the town's website and our website as well. But I will make it a point in the next day or two to get it out to everyone.
You got
with that link.
All right. Does that finish all of the old business?
It does. I believe we're good unless anybody has any questions.
So could I have a motion to adjourn?
I'll make that motion.
Do I have a second?
Second.
There you go.
Everybody's
Folks,
yes.
yeah, Chris, our meetings don't normally go this long at all. This usually it's the beginning of the year in the budget season. We have a couple that go longer. Thank you all for your patience. But just while I have you, Kelly, I'm going to be out of town on the 24th. Can you host that meeting, please, or
Yes.
run that meeting?
Yes.
So actually, my Kelly accepts that. I think I told you, Dave, I'm going to be, I'm having a medical procedure that day, and I'm going to be out of work for a couple of
So
weeks.
we're going to move that meeting date.
Yeah, we'll talk by group and figure out a special meeting date for February.
You got it.
So the 24th, just to make sure, I'm sorry, Dave, but just to make sure I heard you right. So the 24th is out.
Yeah,
Tom,
unless
I can get Orlando to cover a meeting for me that night, Orlando or John.
I think we're good, right?
We'll just move it. We'll just move it.
Okay.
Folks, thank you so much for your patience. I didn't have an opportunity to say Happy New Year to all of you. Thank you for the time and the service you do. It makes a difference. Everyone stay safe, be well. And Tom, thanks for all your efforts.